weren't getting any respect anymore. People were really hating on us, especially because, you know, we had some angry people on the crew. Charles was always angry because of, you know, he lives in Fresno. He lives in a very bad area. He's been through shit that you wouldn't believe, that most people should never have to go through. So he's very angry. He's you know, very sensitive. So piss him off in a battle, he really gets pissed. So people began to not like us for various reasons, you know, jealousy or anger at Charles for being angry, you know, a lot of things like that. Or they said, you know, you guys are just a power crew, you got no style, which is not true, you know, no basics, no footwork, no foundation, whatever. Never true. It was always an accusation, but it was never true. We got a lot of hate starting in 98, 99. Yeah, 99. 99, we got a lot of hate. Suddenly there was no more thankfulness. No one ever thanked us for breaking airflares to the world, you know. But that was part of the story, you know. We had some other stuff that we did. Bobak and I used to talk about, you know, in terms of creativity and originality and style. We used to talk about the line separating b-boying from everything else. Like, where is that line? How far can you go? How weird can you be before it's not b-boying? Before you cross that line and you're not b-boying anymore? Where is that line? We wanted to find out. So we said, okay, we're gonna make a style of b-boying, of breaking, that's so unique that you can't even call it breaking anymore. You have to call it bobaking or kujoing. You know, just making up names named after ourselves, you know. But we wanted to know where the boundaries are. So we started to fuck around with these styles. We used to call it you know, bucking out, not bugging out, but bucking out, like buck, almost like crumping. You know? we used to almost crump before anybody was crumping. We used to get crazy in Bobak's garage. We got crazy. We would do crazy ups, you know. We would do what Bobak kind of jokingly called free slam dancing, the mix between freestyle and slam dancing, like they do with the punk rock concerts, you know, the mosh pit. We used to like make up crazy styles like that and just be really weird, abstract before anybody even thought of being abstract, you know. Or if people were abstract, like abstract flavor, they would be abstract with footwork, you know, with normal moves. They would do, you know, all these bam, bam, you know, all those footwork steps, and they would do it in an abstract way. We would not do footwork at all. We would just do abstract movement and just be very weird. And then we would take it to the next level by saying, sure, it's not that hard to come up with original footwork, with new styles of footwork. That's not that hard because your feet are on the floor the whole time. How hard is it to come up with original power moves? What if you could do that? What if you had an abstract style, an original style with original power moves that were all yours? Your movements, your power moves, everything is yours. You know? Wow, what would that look like? And so we started to come up with stuff, and so that's how, you know, you saw me doing all these things with planches and things like that. Where I was getting a planche, and I would start bam, 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 go in a circle, you know, or do the scissor kicks. Things like that, you know, or all these other weird moves that I have, like that one where I did a roll back and I would drill, I would do an air track and a half on my back, you know. I had a lot of moves like that. They were just very different power moves. We used to come up with all kinds of weird things. We were the first crew ever, I don't care what anybody said, I know this for a fact, we were the first crew to do tombstone windmills. Windmills like this, with the legs together like that. Before Jazzy J, before anybody in Europe, as far as we know. You know, I mean, we never saw it on video. It was just an idea that Bobak had. Bobak's a very creative individual. You know, he had a lot of ideas in his mind. He couldn't do them all, but he would try them. And if he couldn't do them, if he couldn't do the move, he would tell somebody else in the crew, you know, like me or Inferno or somebody else, and one of us would get it. You know, but he had ideas with, you know, strength, and I could do them. And he had ideas with windmills. Inferno could do them. Inferno got tombstones. Another guy, Jose, in our crew, he got tombstones. Really was amazing tombstones, you know, both of them. And Carlos, Inferno was doing tombstone up in the 90s, you know, and all this stuff. Yeah, you know, like we were, because as soon as we came up with the move, we were like, okay, now what? Now what? We didn't want to just stop there. We wanted to be like, okay, you know, think of every move you can do, and then how can you do this new move into every other move? Like, we had crazy sessions back then. We would dance for like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, you know, in these garages and just come up with crazy ideas. We were young and had a lot of energy and a lot of ambition, you know. We really wanted to change the b-boy world. We really wanted to make a contribution to it, and we tried very hard to do that. So we had these original styles, these original power moves, you know, and all that stuff started happening, you know. That was a big part of it. Carlos also did a lot of, both Carlos and I, but I think Carlos deserves more credit because the style is closer to what Carlos did than it is to what I did. It's, where they're on the hands the whole time. They have their feet up here against the wrist, and they're doing, you know, all of that, bam, bam, you know, and then like a half flare, stop, pull through, you know, all of that kind of thing. That stuff that both of us did, Carlos a little more, because Carlos isn't strong in the same way that I'm strong. Like, he can't hold a planche or anything, but he can hold this position, sideways position up here in the back, you know, he can do all of that just fine. So he would do things with that, and he had a lot of moves with that, you know, and he would try to stay on his hands the whole time, and all that. And that became the same style that, like, Roland did, that Ben from Knuckleheads did, and then everybody else, you know. Like, most people say they got it from Ben or Roland, you know, and they call it the Las Vegas style, you know, but it's, before it was a Las Vegas style, it was Inferno style. And it was my style. It was one of the things that Soul Control did back in 95, 96, 97, you know, before anyone knew who the hell Headhunters or Knuckleheads were. We had no idea. Never heard of any of these guys. We were just doing this stuff in our garage and then at the jams, at the local LA jams. So people saw it, didn't like it because it was not six-step baby freeze. It wasn't flare with no head spin. It was weird. It was very new and very different. So we got a lot of hate for it. But I also did stuff on my hand in a different way than Carlos. It was with flanges, it was with air babies with 2 hands. We didn't do 1 hand back then. Eric brought out the 1 hand. Some other people did the 1 hand, but I didn't do 1 hand. I did 2 hands. All that, you know, both legs. I had all this stuff with that kind of thing, the flanges and then the scorpion position. I call it the scorpion position. You know, when it's down here, the low position. I had all these things with that I would do, push-ups and all that, and then I would do a planche and 90 and a backhand planche and things like that. And one day, Captain Freeze, who was one of the founders of LA Breakers, he came up to me and he said, "What you're doing right there, that's like footless footwork. Because you're doing all this stuff with your legs, you're kicking your legs around and all that, but they're never touching the ground. You're on your hands all the time. That's crazy, you know?" So that's what we call this style. We call it footless footwork because you're doing all these things with your feet, with your legs, but your feet never touch the floor. You're just on your hands the whole time. You're just walking around or, you know, doing half of a flare, pull through, shoot through, you know, things like that, go up your head, push up, you know, all that. We call it footless footwork because of freeze. But people call it the Las Vegas style, or they call it presses, or they call it something else, animal style, or something like that. I've heard a lot of names for it, but I never liked those names because I think footless footwork is the best name we could possibly call it, and that's the name that we gave it, that Freeze gave it, and that we always used.